Here's a wonderful little idea. There's a chain of 100 lingerie stores in Canada. They put a telephone in every dressing room so a woman who is undressed does not need to get totally dressed to come out and get another size. Isn't that a good idea? Aren't good ideas simple when you come around to it? But how many people do you find that will help their customers to do things like that? Here's a man that took customer service and made it great by having the biggest sale he ever had in his life for simply sending someone a greeting card. Stephen Peltz is my business manager, and he and his family go to Tucson every year, and every year on their vacation they go to Albert Vasquez's Mexican dining room, which is kind of a nice, cheap, fabulously good Mexican restaurant. And last year they checked into the hotel and they were just stunned to get this little note. It broke the family up. Of course they went in and bought a free appetizer. Don't you think so? But you know what happened? Because of his kindness, because of his aggressiveness, because of the good service, Albert Vasquez said, you know, for Christmas, you could freeze these blue corn tamales. You could buy a lot of them, and you could take them all home, and you could give them to all your friends in the East who don't have blue corn tamales, and he made a $640 sale. That's a lot in a restaurant where the average check is $14. So great creative service is like great creative selling. You make the world manifest to its customers, and they will respond to kindness. That's all that is, and one lousy phone call. How did he find out that Stephen Peltz was coming to town? Who knows? Who cares? He obviously cared enough to go and find that out. When did that last happen to you? Now, there's good service in some places. The only automobile sales room in the world that sells by using women as salespeople is in Japan. Now, it's well known that every woman hates every car salesman on earth because every car salesman on earth thinks every woman is stupid. I mean, that's what goes on all the time. So why don't we do this? But it took Japan to think it up, and it's the most successful single Toyota showroom in the world. That's service that is extraordinary and that matters. Look, when you go to Japan, it is a thrill because it's an honor to serve in Japan. It's a humiliation in America. If you've got a service job, you must have failed. But in Europe, at least, it's a profession. A waiter's actually a waiter, not a director or an actor. And you actually get around to some... It's so stupid, isn't it? There's never been a waiter that admitted to being a waiter, has there? Well, here in Japan, it is a rule every morning that the management of the store stands in the store and greets the customer, and they're there for the first 30 minutes of every day. That's how they know what's going on. Sam Walton would have understood that. As a matter of fact, every morning in the department stores in Japan, they sing the song of the customer. Can you see all the doctors at the local hospital getting together and singing the song of the patient every morning? I don't think it's going to happen. And yet there can be morale like that. As a matter of fact, every morning in Japan, they all do their push-ups, they all sing. And what do? We schlep in and say, when is my break? When is it over? We have rotten posture because it reflects our heart. Well, I think that what we need to do is change it. And I went into Mervyn's in California, and maybe it's beginning to catch on in America. Here was everybody singing Christmas carols a couple of Saturdays ago at Mervyn's, and I said, why are all these salespeople who ordinarily are just Windexing and hating things, why are they all singing Christmas carols? And somebody said, because if we didn't break our routine, it just would have been another Tuesday. We had to do something. Don't you wish everybody that you ever met had that feeling of controlling their own destiny? There's a book on this subject. It's called Control Your Own Destiny or Someone Else Will. And that is happening. It's happening at IBM. It's happening at Kodak. It's happening at General Motors. And we need to do our push-ups and sing a few carols as a group. This is a department manager in Japan. For hundreds of years, every department manager, for the first hour of every day, wouldn't this shock you, stands in his department bowing to customers. I think he's got the right idea. I'm not saying we should do that. That would be ridiculous here. But it works. It is successful. We aren't, so we've got a real problem there. Look at this. I'm going to show you such a tiny thing that maybe you'll remember a long time. This is the biggest bank in the world, the Daiichi Kangyo Bank. And it has 340,000 employees, and you wouldn't think anybody would care, would you? Because that's just too many employees. I saw something so shocking to me. I went down into the vault where you keep your private papers and your will and all the stuff that you have to read with small print. And you know what I saw on the desk where you check in? A little lacquer box with 3 pair of different prescription eyeglasses in case you forgot your glasses. Why is that a touching story? We send banks here and say, I don't think we have an eyeglass budget. I don't know if we could really come up with that. This is a rug seller in Morocco, one of the best salespeople I've ever seen. I can tell you a lot about what makes good service. His father is the manager, and his father said to him, you have to tell everybody what to do. Here's this rug. This is your rug. This is the discipline. I want you to get up on the wall. The kid gets up on the wall. I want you to wave the rug, and the kid starts waving the rug. I want you to shout, and the kid starts shouting. Everyone else is standing around and saying, oh, that kid is so loud. I just hate that kid. I'm going to report it to the mall management. Well, it's not a mall. It's a camel market, so there is no management. And this kid sells rug after rug after rug because not only does he get the discipline that we lack, but he also gets the recognition that we lack because every time he sold a rug, and this is in Tunisian, so I'm just guessing at the language, every time he sold a rug, his father rushed down and said, kid, I just love you. Let me hug you. You're great. Here's your next rug. One rug at a time, one rug at a time, one rug at a time. That's the way it works, and it's beautiful. In the same market in Africa, which is only open 5 hours a week, I saw a little boy who was as good as any service person I've met. Look at his face. You can tell he's alive, can't you? He's not dead. He's not like those old ladies working at Altman's. Do you know why he is so motivated? Because if he's lucky, he'll make 38 cents that day. You know, if we just weren't so semi-rich, semi-fat, semi-married, semi-finished, semi-whatever the hell half we are, if it were a sense of urgency, I mean, this kid simply does not eat if he is not a great customer service person, and that's a motivation that we don't have, unfortunately. So it becomes very exciting. However we can do it, this is the face of a person who's alive, and it's not in Tunisia, and it's not in Japan, it's in Orlando. This girl stands in front of the Magic Castle, and she knows that you may have driven 4 days to get there, so she's not going to be chewing gum, smoking cigarettes, and wishing it was all over. She's not going to be sucking up a Coca-Cola and talking about her break. She is going to be holding balloons as if she meant Walt Disney, and that matters, and it's exciting. Motorola does it. We've got some companies that are now making Japanese merchandise here. Motorola talks about total quality service like everybody else does, of the management woo-woo thing of the week, but they mean it. They make great stuff. They are not doing lip service. They are alive. CVS, what a great company. You know, they discovered a long time ago that all drugstores are exactly the same, and it's a fact that a customer does not have to drive more than 2 miles to get to a drugstore, so why should they pick one drugstore over another? And the answer is service. Helping people. 15 years ago, they started equipping trucks that would go all around Boston and that would fix your tire or get you to a daycare center or change your... They have performed 35,000 free miracles, and now maybe you'll drive another 10 minutes to buy Q-tips or Kleenex or toilet paper, or who cares where you buy things. In the future, the customer is going to buy not based on just the price, but on the service experience of going there. And I have read the files at CVS drugstores, and they got thousands of letters from customers that end, God bless you. That's not the average customer letter, is it? Does not end or begin with God bless you, so they're doing it. There's another kind of service. Let's enlarge the definition of service here, okay? Let's open it up. These are 5 ladies that volunteer. They're rich enough they don't need to get paid. They work in a store called The Rainbow. The Rainbow is stocked entirely with merchandise made by children who have cancer. Do you think these are boring salespeople? Everything they do goes back to the children, not as charity, but as their labor having been rewarded. And that is service to the community, isn't it? There's more, there's even more. There's a store in London which is wonderful. It's a sightseeing tour. You know what it is? It's a grocery store, but it's got 350 chandeliers and service people that look like that. And every afternoon a string quartet comes out and plays Schubert. Is that what they do at your place? What happens is that it says, these are the gentlemen who will serve you this Christmas at Fortnum and Mason. And anyone that's ever been to London has been there to look at marmalade and peas and potatoes. Who cares? It's not the store, it is the experience of meeting you. It isn't the dentist's office, it's the experience of the cup of coffee you may be handed by somebody who gives a damn, which could even be in a real cup, even though somebody may have to wash the cup. Oh, isn't life difficult? Well, those are the things that make a tremendous difference. I had such a great experience in looking for customer service. I was in a mall in Pennsylvania. Don't you love that word, mall? It sounds like a verb, doesn't it? I was in a mall in Pennsylvania, and I was there 2 hours and 45 minutes without being approached. I walked miles. Nobody spoke. Everybody was filing their fingernails, sleeping, dying all over the place. Nobody paid any attention to me at all. And then I went back into Macy's, good old bankrupt Macy's. Well, you know what? And this customer was there. I found a woman standing in the aisle, and she was carrying 7 dresses, and there was something very distressed about her. I thought she was going to explode. I really thought she needed to go to the infirmary immediately. And she came towards me. I swear this is true. And she said, do you work here? And I said, no. And she said, neither does anybody else. She started throwing, well, if we all did that, why don't you do that? Wait, that's only half the story. And I thought, you know, I can't take this. I cannot leave this place without finding a living person. I was going to go back in, and I swore that I would stay there for the rest of my life until somebody noticed me. I'm very hard not to notice, but I got not noticed there. And I went in, and I finally went to the Disney store, and I had my cameras on, and these 2 adorable kids came up to me with all their teeth, and I thought, oh, this will save the day. And they said, give me your camera. And I thought, oh, no, this can't be happening. They said, you look so cute. We want to take your picture. Stand over there. I went into a coma. And I swear this is true. These 2 stood in front of me. They took my picture. When they finished taking my picture, I said, why did you do that? And they said, because we love you. I couldn't. Try that at the doctor's office, wouldn't you? I mean, it's a wonderful thing to do. All right, that's what happened at the Disney store. Now service can be something that can save the world, and I believe that you are a powerful person no matter what your service job is. Why should you pick McDonald's? Their French fries are the same as everybody else's. They're located the same as everybody else's. But don't you think that it's in the customer's nation of good hearts to support the Ronald McDonald House? You know what that is, don't you? I hope you never have an experience of it, but if you need to, it is there. You can take your child there, and in the place that sells you French fries and special sauce, who cares? The difference is in their heart and soul. This is the house that provides the home, that cooks the meals, that dries the tears. This is the house that love built. Let's have some music. This is slightly emotional anyway. I think that if you're not permitted to be emotional, then you're going to be some dried professor, some boring emergency room nurse, and you don't really care. I think what we need to do is to talk about service as if it mattered to the entire globe. Does anybody know who Mother Hale was? She was the most amazing single person I ever met. 50 years ago, when she was, 40 years old, she opened a house in Harlem, and she took into her house babies who were born addicted to heroin and abandoned by their parents. Later on, she opened another house next door for babies who were born with the AIDS virus. What a great start. When I visited this woman, and I became so impatient with everybody else's attitude about service, I couldn't believe it. Because there was something written above her that was wonderful. You used to go and visit Mother Hale when she was sick and old. She died last year. She's still alive in many ways. And this was written above her bed. And it is the best thing I have ever heard about service, and she meant it. She said, "Our life is a gift from God. What we do with that life is our gift to God." Does that apply to someone that takes tickets? Yes. Does that apply to someone that serves meals on an airplane? Yes. It isn't the job you have. It is the amount of intense, heartfelt sincerity that you bring to any ordinary day. You can transform the pain of an ordinary day by lifting a customer. As Mother Hale, for years and years and years, dedicated her life to people that didn't even stand.